seeing the starting grid. Now we are just waiting on the drivers to take us around New Hampshire 2 different times this evening. One 30-minute race, one 20-minute race. This one's going to be led off by Logan McKenzie with another pole on the season, his 5th so far. Can he convert it into a win? Zepka on his right side. If we are a go at New Hampshire, and McKenzie quickly moves to cover off the right side there. And he is ahead of Zepka going on through NASCAR 1 and 2. Zepka had a nose in there, but nowhere to go with it. Schenk close behind. Then it is Acatella, Hendricks, Bertolucci. They are coming off the oval now, and I see Bertolucci on the inside of Hendricks. And oh no, David Bauer! It's a huge crash involving a couple of... Oh no, there's a lot of cars here. Bauer, Bertolucci is up on the tires. I don't think Rakowski is involved there. Oh, Bauer's missing a lot of parts. Raymond 2, I think, has benefited from this. He is through on Ost. Yeah, he's gained 11 positions in this race. Fuad Al-Rijla has been involved in something. He is dropping quickly. He's got front right damage. And he is now limping that one back around. Jason Lynn. See Lynn there behind Christian Ost, ahead of Alexander Patash and Evan Clavijo. David Bauer limping around behind those guys. McKenzie leads the first lap ahead of Zepka and Schenk. Rakowski may go for a move here on Bauer. I'm surprised that Bauer did not come into the pits on that lap. If he has a meatball flag, we have a fast repair. It would make sense to go ahead and come down and collect that. That makes me think that he has somehow avoided collecting a meatball. And further ahead, Christian Ost defending against Spencer Clark. Now Rakowski makes the move on Bauer. They make a little bit of contact coming down to this big banked corner. Rakowski trying to hold it around the outside, but she's going to end up a little bit on the gravel. Very easy to do there. It's dangerous trying to hold it around the outside in that corner because you run out of grip and then you get kind of launched up onto that gravel trap, and it can be difficult to even just get out of that trap. Zepka... I'm not sure what's going on with the timing here, showing... okay, I think it's fixing itself with Acatella and Darnell. But Mark Darnell running in P5 right now. He's gained 3 spots since the start of this race, and Brian Son may be looking for a move here. Oh, Son kicks out into a huge slide, but it's a save. He's managed to keep that one on track, but that's a brown pants moment for sure. Evan Clavijo and Alexander Patash going side by side as they exit the oval. And Clavijo goes deep and Bauer goes deep, trying to gain these spots back. I think that he's not going to have to come into the pits to serve any kind of meatball. That car has been deemed drivable by the stewards, and he is taking it to these guys. Oh, Jason Lynn under pressure from Evan Clavijo just ahead. This is going to be a bit of a mess. Is Bauer going to go for a move as they come back onto the oval? Whoa, Jason Lynn gets a bit sideways, and now he's going to have to park it there. And that is a bit of an obstacle. Who else has to come through? Ian Bertolucci coming through. And I think he's going to be able to move. Yes, okay. He's going to stay there. Go ahead and let this last car through as well. It's Micah Hendricks. So, chucking back up front, Brian's son, he recovered the slide on the last lap, but it put him within striking distance of Raymond 2. And 2 is immediately taking advantage of this opportunity, looking to the left side as they come down to the exit of the oval. Son goes deep, and he manages to gather it up, but 2 will get him on the over-under. And as they come up onto the infield, the outfield, the road course, Son has a better run down to the bank corner, but 2 goes deep on the brakes, trying to carry the momentum around the outside. Can he keep it on track? Yes, he does. And I think he's done it, but can Son keep the nose in? No, he cannot. And Spencer Clark is again foiled behind. David Bauer going side by side with Clavijo through this section, but he's going to back out of the inside there. I wonder how controllable that car is. If we go on board with him, it doesn't look like he has a whole lot of wheel damage, so he may be getting away with a little bit there. Up front, McKenzie 1.5 second gap over Schenk, who has a 0.8 second gap over his teammate Zepka. Son has gotten a little closer to 2 through turns 1 and 2. But I don't think he's going to be close enough to do anything here. This is a nice little pack of 4 cars, and in fact, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the Delta class. We haven't really discussed the battle for the Delta lead yet in this race, but Brian Son currently leads it. P7 overall. It's nice for the Delta drivers when we come to these tracks that have lower attendance numbers, because some of these guys really get a chance to shine, and all of them are in a top 10. Look at this, 1, 2, and 3 in the Delta class, covered by maybe half a second. And Oost looking for a move on the inside. He's not going to get it. Oost is trying to attack and defend at the same time, and it's his teammate, so he's having to worry about not wrecking them both. All while Spencer Clark is on the offense. A little further behind, Damon Mitchell is hunting down the damaged car of David Bauer. Bauer has lost quite a bit of ground on this past lap. He was right up on the back of Clavijo, and now that gap is over 1 second. So checking back in on the Delta lead, Brian Son, he's just kind of hanging on to the back of Raymond 2 right now. And if you're Son, you're hoping 2 does not. He's fast enough to not slow you up, but he's not so fast that he completely pulls away, because he's a nice little slipstream down the front stretch. It's a nice extra buffer, but that is expected on 2. You know, not making a mistake or being slow up ahead. Another thing to think about is these guys are running about the same lap times as Mark Darnell right now. Darnell has a 1.1 second advantage on Raymond 2. So if that persists, then Son will be fine. But if they start to stack up behind Darnell, then we could see something interesting happening. If we look at their last lap times, Darnell was 7/10 slower on that previous lap. So it is possible that it gets a little dicey as 2 tries to work his way around the Sia driver. Sia currently has 3 cars in that top group, and I think Brian Saab, we cut in as he goes deep, and Alexander Batash takes advantage and sweeps around. He's going to sit on the right side of the track here. Saab may go for a move into the back corner, and he does. This is the battle for P7 in the Delta class, and Saab goes through. A nice move, a recovery after going a bit deep in the oval exit. Here we go, Mark Darnell. I thought we saw him sliding there for a moment, but not that part of the track. He is coming out on the front stretch now. We're about to see what this lap time was. And that one, 3/10 slower than 2. Oh, and 2 is now going to get alongside him. Darnell's gone a bit deep into turns 1 and 2. He'll have a slightly better exit as a result, but he scrubbed off a lot of time there. And now Raymond looks for a move, can't find the move. 22 minutes to go in this race. So this is kind of essential. If 2 wants to get beyond Darnell and at least hunt down Acatella before the end of this race, it's already a 6-second gap up front, and he needs to get around him now. Oh, and he's getting really close here as they come back onto the oval. And now they're starting to stack up behind. Son pulls within 0.4 of a second of Raymond 2. And all those guys are only covered, this group of 5 cars only covered by about 2.5 seconds. So Darnell holding up this little group here. David Bauer is still hanging out in front of Damon Mitchell. If Ray doesn't make any sort of move here, we'll go check in on them. And there they are right there. So there's Bauer still driving. This is a really impressive, honestly. After the massive crash, he is doing a great job of hauling that thing around this track. with what looks like a lot of damage. The track, very low speed. Your top speed is not very high here. The front stretch isn't super long. So he may be down on top speed acceleration, but it's not going to be harming him as much as it would at other layouts. But Damon Mitchell is certainly a bit faster than him and is looking for something as they come into the final chicane. And out of that last corner, Mitchell's still not close enough to really pounce, but Christian Ost might be. We go on board with him. Look at this. Raymond 2 up ahead has gotten on the inside of Mark Darnell, and they are going to go side by side into this next corner. Who's going to win out? Even on the brakes. And it looks like Darnell's going to hold on to it as long as he gets a good run up the hill. But no, 2 gets his nose in. So who are we going to see come out ahead right here? It looks like 2 has the preferred line. He does. And he is through on Darnell. Darnell slides back into 6th. Son holding on to that Delta lead, but only just. Christian Ost is looking for opportunities. Spencer Clark is looking for opportunities. They're all right on top of each other. Son goes a bit wide, so Ost and Son side by side, teammates for the lead. Ost goes through. Can Clark follow him up around the outside? Son's left him the space, but Clark can't do anything with it. And now Evan Clavijo wants to join this fight for the lead. But Christian Ost is now up front in the Delta class. That is a well-done move. Can Spencer Clark try and follow him through on his teammate? Now Brian Son, if he doesn't have the pace to keep up with Ost, he can play the team game and keep Spencer Clark back here. Let's see, he's going to stay on the racing line. Spencer Clark not going to go for a move, but he's right on the back bumper of the Complex MWorks driver. And will he try something into the bank corner? He puts a nose in, just trying to scare Son off his line. It works, and Son loses a bit of exit speed. He's gonna really squeeze Clark over the curb, and now these guys are right on top of each other into the, oh my god, onto the Copel exit. They make contact, and Evan Clavijo slips through. I can't believe it. Bauer and Mitchell also find a way to get by. So Clark goes for a move as the door closes in that section, and really I don't think Son did anything wrong there. He didn't even necessarily close the door. Clark makes contact with his left rear though, and that is it. Bauer has either collected a penalty or finally had to come in and pit to repair the damage, but either way, he is now demoted to the bottom of this running order. And he's not pitting, so it looks like he's hit the incident limit there. That's a drive-through for him. Incident limit for these sprint races is at 11, so after the big crash at the beginning, he would have only had 7 to play with. You can imagine how those could have gone away pretty quickly. Still 17 minutes to go in this contest. Looking back up at the Delta lead, things have calmed down a bit now. It'll be interesting to see if Evan Clavijo is quicker than Christian Ost, if he can get around Brian Son. On the last lap, he was half a second faster than Son, so the pace is there. Surely he will, right now, just be happy that he is alive after just barely sneaking around Spencer Clark. Raymond 2 has a lot of work to do if he wants to catch Connor Acatella. That gap ballooned from 6 seconds to 10 seconds while he was battling with the group behind. Darnell holding on to the back of him. As we rolled further back into the field, Spencer Clark now heads up at the battle for 11th, which includes Jess Rakowski, current Delta Championship leader Jacob Wiley, and Brian Saab. Jacob Wiley only needs a half-decent performance in the last couple races. Look at that move for Brian Saab. A little feint up the inside. It's a late move. And Wiley's trying to hold this as they come down into the sweeper to come back onto the oval. Saab's going to keep his nose in there and force Wiley slightly off the racing line. Can he get a little crossover going as we come back on? No, it looks like Wiley has properly defended that. And that's dropped him off the back of Clark and Rakowski a good bit. Let's see if Saab goes for something here in turns 1 and 2. Sometimes you can get something going, different lines you can work on the oval. And look at this, Wiley going on that second lane, and Saab almost washes up into him. He'll scrubbed off a lot of speed doing that. And that bottom lane has no banking on it, so trying to run up the inside of someone like that, you'll very quickly find you'll wash out into them. Jason Lind, oh, this is a lapped car, and this is causing trouble for these guys. I'm not sure what Wiley was trying to do there. Saab was stuck, and Wiley almost slowed down to try and pin him back there, so he couldn't do anything, but overall, it loses them time. It loses Jess Sprikowski time, because she was kind of awkwardly positioned next to Jason Lind through the oval exit. And that has all allowed Spencer Clark to kind of get back away from this group. But Wiley only needs a couple of half-decent performances to bring home this Delta title. Now, his closest competitor is Christian Oost, and Oost is currently P7 in this race. But Jacob Wiley is only P13, so I think something more catastrophic would have to happen to him both in this race, the next race, and the final race at Portimao in order for his championship chances to really be in jeopardy, as he makes a late move on Jacob Wiley and goes a bit off track to do it, catches a pretty big pothole there. There's sort of a hidden lip on the curb that you can clip, and we saw the 52 just get that. And it is not good for your car. But that loses him a bit of ground. And so we'll check back in on Brian Son and Evan Clavijo. Clavijo has closed this gap a little. He's a couple tenths faster each lap on Brian Son, but Christian Oost is faster than both of them. So this race, this Delta race, looks like his to lose. And checking back in on the overall race, the Alpha race, Logan McKenzie has extended his gap to 2.5 seconds. He's about a tenth a lap faster than Francois Schink, so it's a very slow, kind of methodical extension of his lead here. Schink has extended his own lead over Zepka to 3.3 seconds. But so far, it looks like they're very much on for a C1-2-3, a double podium for the team. It'd be very nice for them. And then, of course, Mark Donnell's down in 6th place, so the whole team performing very well today. Connor Acatella is cruising on his own in 4th, the double yellow drivers, featuring a special Dora the Explorer livery for New Hampshire. But he's kind of had his own lonely race here. He's 5.7 seconds to the car in front, 11 seconds to the car behind. And it's really just been hot lapping for him. Raymond, too, it looked for a moment like it might turn into the same thing for him, but he has not been able to drop Mark Darnell. Darnell has been about a second off of him for the past 5-6 laps. Really ever since 2 passed him. Another factor in this is Christian Oost is occasionally running faster laps than these two. He was quite a bit slower on the last time around, but he's only 2.3 seconds off, so he is within range of a top 5 here if he gets a little more pace out of that Honda. Damon Mitchell has closed up to the back of Evan Clavijo, which could complicate this battle for the Delta podium. Because he has brought with him Spencer Clark. So Clark with an excellent recovery drive here, and Clark is actually setting the fastest lap times of anybody in the Delta class. I think he has run out of time to catch Christian Oost for any kind of battle for the Delta lead. 11 minutes to go in this one, and I think that's just a case of, you know, his impatience gets the better of him there and causes the accident with Brian Saab, but he's done well to recover it, and he could very easily at least get back to P2. He could get all the way back to Brian Saab here and at least slip into that second spot. Another thing to consider here, the second race of the day, the 20-minute race, the grid is set by invert. As we look back here, Jacob Wiley and Brian Saab are going at it again out of turn 2. Wiley around the outside on Saab. Saab's going to go for a big, aggressive over-under here. Will it work? No, he has to kind of back out of it. I think he picked up a slowdown there. He cut that corner a lot, and he definitely picked up a slowdown. He serves it there, and I feel like every time we've checked into this battle, it's been Brian Saab coming so close to passing Jacob Wiley, and then something happens that sets him back by about a second or so. Now it's 1.5 seconds this time. Evan Clavijo is, he's got his windshield wiper on, and he is defending against Spencer Clark here. Damon Mitchell has gone around him and will be looking to tackle Brian Son next. The thing I was going to mention about the 20-minute race, the grid is set by top 8 invert, so Brian Son currently sits on provisional pole for that race, but any of these 4 guys could get it. They're all battling to be a part of that invert right now, so this is a very important fight, and Mitchell, a late lunge attempt, but has to back out of it. Has the better exit, though, and look at how close all these cars are. Not a whole lot of cars on track today, but the battling has been close, and Clark is right up on the back bumper of Clavijo, and look at how little you can see here. You know there's 3 cars stacked up in front of you, but when you get down into this sweeper, look at how much he's having to back out of it and just trust the guys in front of him are not going to cause calamity. Son stays ahead of Mitchell for the moment. He's got rear end damage to that complex Penguin car, but he's got the Crayon SRG Veloster behind him. What can he do? 9 minutes to go here at New Hampshire. McKenzie's lead has now ballooned to almost 4 seconds over Schenck, so it is his race to lose. Ost's lead is a similar gap, about 4 seconds over Son. The battle is for the Delta podium here. Mitchell is also trying to get onto that invert. So the battle for the Delta podium, the battle for the overall invert. And only one of these 4 cars is going to get it. Clavijo, it looks like Clark has actually dropped a bit off of these guys. And joining this party is Jess Rakowski. She's not that far off this group. Son and Mitchell ran a 6.41 on that last lap. Rakowski ran a 6.2, so she's been closing on the back of these guys as Mitchell and Son kind of duel up front. So it's really a 5-car group battling for this final invert spot. Mitchell is close enough to try something here. Will Son defend the inside? No. He's going to try and use the banking on the outside. Mitchell's going to get down to that first lane. You don't have a whole lot of grip down there, so Son's going to be able to carry that speed around the outside. That's exactly where you want to stay. That's exactly how you defend here. Perfectly executed. He stays ahead. He stays in that provisional pole spot. Less than 8 minutes to go in this race. And that is the kind of defense that you really don't even lose that much time doing is, oh, Mitchell has closed right up on the back of him. And you think, looking at that, Son might be braking a little early there. Look at this. Back on the oval re-entry. Mitchell gets the better exit, but I mean, as long as Son stays to the left here, there's not a whole lot Mitchell can do on the entry to this chicane. And he's defended this quite beautifully so far. Does he stay to the right side this time? Mitchell will go for the same move. Does he try and stay in that middle lane? Nope, he's going to be at the bottom again. He's going to lose the momentum again. And now he's probably also torching his tires doing that. Son is not putting nearly as much load through his front tires by carrying it around the banking. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of banking there, but really, it helps so much. You see how much speed Mitchell is losing on that inside line. It's not helping him out. The only way he's going to make this work is if he gets to the outside of Son, or he gets onto that second lane and keeps Son from cutting down on him. That's something he could do. Son is kind of he starts out in that third lane, and then cuts down into the second one. If Mitchell can establish himself in that second lane, he can then take advantage of the banking and get around Son. Son really hit the sort of pyramid there on oval reentry hard, and as a result, Everyone's stacked up behind him. Mitchell's actually not as close. He's under pressure from Evan Clavijo, who's going to make a move on the SRG driver, and things are going to get spicy here in the last 6 minutes of this race. On the inside, Clavijo goes really far to the inside, and ironically, now Mitchell is the one who's going to get to carry the speed around the outside. Mitchell's actually carrying some front left damage. However, he picked that up. Clavijo's also got front end damage, and now he has a little bit of new front end damage, a little bit of new rear end damage as he gets stacked up between Mitchell and Clark. Oh, and look at this. Clavijo may go for a move. This is what he's been waiting for. Can he make it work? More contact, and once again, Clark has to back out of it. And every time he tries to throw it up the inside of someone, it's just resulting in contact. There's cones everywhere on the track. Oh, and I just heard another big impact. Son has hit the pyramid again, and he's gone a bit wide, but he's managed to gather it up. Can he keep Mitchell off his back? Out of the final corner. Mitchell is not as close as he has been. Son's just got to keep defending on the outside. Mitchell wants to stay on the banked corner this time. Mitchell's got to just stay close enough to be able to throw it in on the oval exit, but even there, he got a little too far down on that flat line, and he just doesn't have the space to go for the dive. While all this is happening, Jacob Wiley is defending against Brian Saab behind. That is a lapped car, Ian Bertolucci behind them, so he's not going to really interfere with this. But Wiley and Saab are still dueling for this, and Saab may go for a move. No, he's going to stay out of it. Look up here. Son, Mitchell, Clavijo, they're all stacked up. Clark's right there. Rakowski not far behind. Son's been a little weak on this corner, and now Mitchell sticks it. Oh, there's contact. Son, Mitchell, they all come together. 3 wide, 4 wide. Clavijo goes through. Clark goes through on Son. Mitchell's going to try and stick it into Clavijo, and now he goes wide. And Mitchell's off track. Clark has just gained 3 spots off of all of that. Where did Brian Son even go? He had to pit. Brian Son had to pit. Mitchell and Rakowski going side by side through turn 1. Rakowski's on that inside line. It's not good, but she can kind of lean on Mitchell on the corner exit. That's going to help her out. And as they come onto the oval exit, she's going to hold it around the outside, but can't make it work. And slips back in behind him. Wow. Now Brian Son has come back on track. And he had to serve a penalty for hitting the incident limit. So that's the end of his contention for a Delta podium. He'll be battling with David Bauer for P15 here. Jacob Wiley's still ahead of Brian Son. Damon Mitchell is still dealing with Rakowski here. This has put them within range, actually, of Wiley and Saab. It's put Spencer Clark right into the provisional pole spot for the invert. That was something that looked like at times Son, Clavijo, and Mitchell would all take. But in the end, it's ended up being Spencer Clark. After so many failed attempts, it all just kind of opened up for him. You had the initial sort of contact there between Son and Mitchell. We were talking about how Son was having trouble with the re-entry onto the oval. He got put on that inside line. He and Mitchell made contact. Clavijo took advantage around the inside. It looked like Saab may have gone for another move there on Wiley, but once again, Wiley pulling ahead on the oval exit. But yeah, so Clavijo takes advantage of that first contact between Mitchell and Saab, and then Mitchell tries to go ahead and get around Clavijo immediately in the last corner, and he gets a nose in there, and they just both go off track, and then there Clark is through. And he will be giddy about that. He's now P2 in the Delta class as a result, and will start on pole for the next race if he can stay right where he is. 1 minute to go in this race. Damon Mitchell now coming down pit lane, and I think after all of that, he too has clipped that incident limit. We'll watch to make sure. Well, we will not watch to make sure, but these two are going at it again, leaning on each other out of turn 2. Saab's on the outside. He's outbraked Wiley. He could get this done. Wiley's cut a lot of that corner, and now he may have to serve a slowdown. I think Saab has finally done it. He has gotten around Jacob Wiley for what was now P5 in the Delta class. And Saab might be a bit quicker than Rakowski. He'll have a chance to go after her here, but not for very long. Logan McKenzie is up on the road course now. He's picked up the white flag. He will be coming to the checkered this time by. It would be his 5th career win of the season. That would tie his career best set in season 1 and I think season 3 as well. So it's been a banner year for the driver, and without Michael Polasek here, he is set to take a commanding lead in the championship fight. With just 2 races to go, Logan McKenzie wins the first race at New Hampshire. Francois Schink brings home P2, and Matt Zepka off the final corner. He will round out the podium. And Connor Acatella was not far behind him at the end of that race. Only 2.1 seconds separated those drivers. Christian Ost is now coming back onto the oval. He's had an up and down season. He's stayed as close to Jacob Wiley in the point standings as he has been able to. This is a last-ditch effort to go for the Delta Championship with Jacob Wiley down in P12. Christian Ost brings home P7 overall and P1 in the Delta class. This is exactly what he needed, and it is well done, well timed for the Complex Penguin RC driver. Spencer Clark, after all of that, brings home P2, and Evan Clavijo rounds out that Delta podium. What a race between all those guys. We will come back to you shortly for the second race of the day. A 20-minute affair, and you're looking at the guy who will start on pole alongside Christian Ost. So that's going to be a spicy one. The battle for the Delta lead will start at the very front of the field. Stay tuned. Now we are all set for the second race of the day. It is a 20-minute race, the top 8 inverted, so Spencer Clark and Christian Ost will lead us off here at New Hampshire. 20 minutes. Here we go. Jacob Wiley gets a good start there in the back. Or the baby Rakowski got a bad start. She's dropping through the field. I see Clark. I see Ost side by side through turn 1. Darnell 2 and Acatella very close behind. And into the first oval exit. What are we going to get here? 2 up the inside for P2 in this race. 3 wide back behind. It's getting very stacked up. Oh, David Bauer spun off. Oh, I see Alexander Patash has spun off. Fuana Ridgely gets caught up. Jess Rakowski is collected in that one. And once again, the oval exit collects a couple of victims. A bunch of SIA cars. 3 wide for the SIA drivers. And now it's Francois Schink. Off track, heavy impact into the wall, and he's out of this race. Evan Clavijo trying to take advantage by going around Matt Zepka. He's also gotten ahead or stayed ahead of Logan McKenzie. He comes out of the road course. Zepka goes back around him. So Clark stays in the lead. Christian Ost is P2. He got back around Raymond 2 at some point. We didn't even see that through all that carnage. Jacob Wiley going for a move on Logan McKenzie. McKenzie on that outside line, and Wiley has to back out of it to not hit him. Further ahead, Clavijo. Oh, look at this. McKenzie going around the outside of Clavijo here at the start of this race, and he's going to take that position and slot in. Brian Saab trying to take advantage of all this. Bertolucci on the inside. Oh, Jacob Wiley forced up onto the curb by Clavijo, and now Brian Saab is going to take advantage. Into the banked corner. Here they go. Oh, Bertolucci right up the inside. Has nowhere to go, though. Slows down, and Micah Hendricks is stuck behind him. Up front, I see. Oh no, Christian Ost has spun. He's spun and he's backing off the racing line. And he has somehow avoided collecting anybody in that accident. Wow, that was close. And Jason Lynn comes through there. Brian Saab, Jess Rakowski, Mark Darnell, and Matt Zepka dueling for P4 in this race. The way that these standings are set up right now, anyone in the top 5, top 6 could win this race. Darnell going very wide. You think maybe he could have helped his teammate out by keeping McKenzie back there for a couple of laps, but McKenzie goes right on through. Further back, Bertolucci on the outside of Jacob Wally. He may make this work. He keeps the momentum. Wally over the curb. Now he has the preferred line as they come down into this next corner. We'll go on board with Micah Hendricks, watching these two come in to this corner. And you see how Bertolucci has such an advantage down there. But wait a minute. Wiley with a good run off the corner. He's trying to keep his nose in, and Bertolucci has to respect that. So coming through the next corner. Oh, man, Wiley's going to keep it in there. Oh, no. And Bertolucci. Oh, it's a huge impact in the wall. And he's immediately he's gone to tow. But that was a devastating impact, and I didn't see exactly what happened there. It looked like Bertolucci may have just kind of come across Wiley's nose. While that was happening, Raymond 2 got passed by Matt Zepka in the same corner, I believe. So a couple of big accidents at the start of this race. And people are feeling the urgency. 16 minutes to go. Brian Saab going for Mulan Evan Clavijo behind, and this is for P2 in the Delta class. Oh, and when you have to get up on the curb like that, you lose a lot of momentum, and you're already off the preferred line, so I don't think this is going to work out for him. He slots back in. Further behind, Micah Hendricks is working on Jacob Wiley, and we've cut in right as Wiley gets a little slide going out of that corner. He's going to put him under pressure from Damon Mitchell, and Mitchell is not going to be able to find a spot to put the nose in, or will he? He gets right on the back bumper of Wiley. And Wiley's just trying to hang on to that championship lead and hang on to the car. He does not need a DNF as Mitchell slyly sneaks up the inside there through this last corner. And now he'll have some space coming into turn 1, but he needs to stay on that banked bit of track. Let's see. He does for the most part. Oh, now he goes on to the lower part of the track and he's going to lose the momentum. And look at this. I keep telling you. And yet here we go. But wait, he's looked to the inside. He's got a little deep. They've made some contact side by side going up the hill. And now coming down to the banked corner, I think Wiley's going to have this. And around the outside line, Mitchell has to yield. May have cut that corner quite a bit, actually. Looking back up front, Raymond 2 has just been passed by teammate Logan McKenzie. So McKenzie running 4th. Zepka 3rd, Acatella 2.4 seconds off of your Delta and Alpha leader, Spencer Clark. Clark has avoided the carnage. Christian Ost's spin helped him a little, but in the end, Ost not being back there has given those guys one less car to pass. So it's a bit of a 50-50 trade-off. But it's a 2.4 second gap with only 14 minutes left in the race. Acatella was not faster than... Acatella was faster than him on that last lap by 0.3. So they are on pace to catch Clark. But how much does Acatella hold up Zepka and McKenzie? And how much do Zepka and McKenzie fight for this? There's a lot of things that could play in Clark's favor here. Not only for a win, but for a podium. The last and only time we saw a Delta driver on the podium, it was actually Connor Acatella back in his rookie season, season 5. That was also the first year of the Delta class, and Acatella ended up being the champion of the class that season. But he did end up on the podium once. It was a P2 at Red Bull Ring National. I think he finished behind John Lazan. Lazan not here today, but Acatella is, and Acatella is currently fishing for career win number 2. He picked up his first win at Zandvoort was that last season? Or was that 2 seasons ago? Either way, he's looking for career win number 2. Matt Zepka's looking for career win number 2. Spencer Clark looking for overall career win number 1. And McKenzie, I think this would be career win 27 for him. It would pull him level with Micah Hendricks all time. Third all time? Second all time? Looking back in the field, Damon Mitchell had an inside line there on Jacob Wiley, but wasn't able to do anything with it. Wiley carried the momentum around the banking. There is a little group of cars stacking up behind Evan Clavijo. Brian Saab, Mark Darnell, and Micah Hendricks all in this battle for P6. Clavijo is second in the Delta class, so this is also a battle for some spots on that podium. Clavijo and Saab. Darnell on the inside line here. I think Hendricks is going to get him around the outside. And he does. Carries the momentum around. We go on board with Hendricks into the oval exit. You see how much he closes up on the back of those guys. Really no time lost in passing Mark Darnell. Now into the banked corner, and we'll show you how treacherous this can get as Saab gets a little loose, and Hendricks is gonna put it alongside him, and he will finish the job. So that's 2 spots for Hendricks on this lap. He's just hugging the inside there, playing it nice and safe, get around that big pyramid curve, and then through the final chicane. He now only has to hunt down Clavijo to get into the top 6, and then it'll be about 3 seconds to Raymond 2 up ahead. That looked like an off track there as he cut through the grass there, but very easy to do through that chicane. And Micah Hendricks running the last few races of the season for Croc Hunters in this beautiful Gulf Honda livery. David Bauer on pit lane. Oh no, that does not look good. I think Bauer has retired from this race. Damon Mitchell is ahead of Brian Son, but maybe only for a moment. Actually, something has happened here because Mitchell has slipped off the back of Jacob Wiley, and he has front left damage that he did not have before. It does not look like he has necessarily damage that has knocked anything out of alignment. But something has happened to the 27, and it has resulted in him losing some time. Raymond 2 is running alone out here in P5, 3.3 seconds to the car ahead and behind. Further up ahead, his teammate Logan McKenzie will go on board with McKenzie because he is looking at the back of the 3 lead cars, Clark, Acatella, and Zepka. They are all 4 of them covered by about 2 seconds now. It is a very close little field here. Now they come down into the bank corner. Acatella within striking distance for the first time really this whole race, and Clark's gone very wide there. So out of that corner, it's going to be Clark, Acatella, Zepka, and McKenzie all on top of each other for the lead. Clark having to defend back onto the oval. And now here they come into the last corner. Zepka has a chance to do something to Acatella on this lap. Is not able to make anything happen there. Back onto the oval, here they come. And actually Zepka and McKenzie are closer to Acatella than he is to the leader. There may have been a little touch of the wall there. Zepka and McKenzie, look at that right there on the back of Acatella. McKenzie looking on the inside. This could be it. The battle for the podium. Oh, but actually Zepka's going to go deep on Acatella. And in his defense becomes offense. And now a little bit of contact. Will McKenzie look to the left side here? He will put a nose in. Clark has extended his lead back again through all this. McKenzie may be getting through on Zepka here. Zepka's kept a nose in it. But now McKenzie cuts back ahead. And I think that he has gotten into P3 now. So a changing of the guard behind Clark and Acatella. Still 8 long minutes to go in this race. That is essentially about 7 laps. These laps are about 1 minute 5 seconds. Clark is putting down laps in the 1 minute 4s. There are only 6 cars on track doing that right now. Clark, Akatela, McKenzie, Zepka, Hendricks, and Saab. Everyone else is in the 105s. Clark's doing a good job of maintaining this gap. McKenzie has not immediately closed up to Akatela, and this looks like it's going to be another kind of dud lap where nobody gets a shot at passing anybody, which is always good news for Spencer Clark. He needs those guys back there to fight. He needs them to just not be within range of him at all so he can run his line, run his race. Trying to become the first Delta driver to ever win an overall race. He's got 7 minutes to do it. And out of that final corner, he was a little slow. He lost about 0.3 of a second to Akatela through it. And to the line, in that final sector, Akatela was 3.5 tenths faster. So now we're looking at a move here, possibly, around the outside. Now he's going to look to the left. Will he look to the right? Exiting the oval. Nothing going for Akatela. It's the battle for the lead. Remains stagnant for the moment. Further behind, Jason Lynn and Christian Ost. So I see it looks like Christian Ost going around Jason Lynn there. Helping his teammate out wherever he can, but I think Christian Ost's spin may have ended his Delta Championship chances. Jacob Wiley running P10 in this race. That's probably all he needs to do, and then just show up to Portabound next week, and he's probably good to go. But there's still 6 minutes left in this race, so anything could happen. Akatela is right on the bumper, and he's looking to the left. Clark affords him the space. The battle for the lead. Too wide. Going down to turn number 1. McKenzie picks Akatela. They're both going to be up on that banking. Akatela gets a bit down onto that first lane, though. You don't want to be doing that. Clark's going to be coming back with a lot of momentum. Here we go. The end of the oval exit. Now Matt Zepka's up the inside. 2 by 2 for the lead. Zepka's trying to get back past McKenzie. Akatela's trying to take this from Clark. They're still 2 by 2 as we come into the banked corner. Clark a bit wide. Akatela may be able to close this off. Can McKenzie do the same? Akatela into the lead. McKenzie still has Zepka beside him. Here they come through the sweeper, down off the road course, and Zepka with a great run around the outside. What an overtake, and he's in a P3, but McKenzie comes back at him. They're too wide through the final corner. And this is dropping them off of Clark and Akatela. They're still too wide into turn number 1. How's this going to work out? They've been too wide ever since they exited the oval on the last lap. McKenzie no longer alongside him, but he may have some momentum here coming off the corner. Yes, he's going to do it. Coming to the oval exit, throwing it up the inside of the Honda driver. Clark is right there. His presence could affect this battle. They come down to the banked corner. They've been too wide for a whole lap. A complete circuit in the battle for the 3rd position. McKenzie goes around the outside. I think Zepka may have been a bit early on the brakes, and he's going to finally close this off. And the battle for the 3rd position has ended, at least for the moment. But now they look ahead, and there's 4 minutes left in the race. Spencer Clark is 1.1 seconds up the road, and Clark is 7 tenths off of Akatela. Akatela looks primed to take that second career win. We're staying here because Zepka does not want to give this up. If he's not going to win this race, he's at least going to get on the podium. And contact with the back bumper of McKenzie's car, trying to give him the little bump and run on the outside line. Can he get the momentum off the corner? No, I think McKenzie has covered him off. Just over 3 minutes to go. Raymond, too, has closed up to the back of these guys through all of this fighting. And they aren't that far off from Spencer Clark. We see Matt Zepka giving his windshields a little wipe. with the brand new working windshield wipers. Although I think they've been working on the Honda for quite some time now. Micah Hendricks, through all of this, oh no! I was gonna say he's caught up to the back of Evan Clavijo, but actually Clavijo has just taken a little trip into the gravel with a couple laps to go, and he loses the spot to Hendricks. He loses the spot to Saab. That slips him to P3 in the Delta class. That's a nice little gift for Brian Saab. Connor Acatella comes to the line, and this is 3 laps to go for the double yellow driver. And for him, it's looking good. He's just got to keep it on track. Spencer Clark is currently ahead of McKenzie and Zepka. As long as he slows these guys up, Acatella is in good shape. McKenzie's going to try around the outside here to start. Does he have the momentum to keep a nose in? Clark goes all the way to the outside of the track to make sure McKenzie can't get the nose in. It's a smart move, and it keeps them back there through the banked corner. Acatella's lead, 1.3 seconds now. Clark still holding these guys up. On board with Matt Zepka. Exiting the road course. McKenzie's going to look to the right side of Clark, but not able to get a nose in. He'll look for some kind of little over-under move out of the chicane. Zepka trying to follow. It's important for Zepka to follow McKenzie through on whatever he does. He cannot get stuck behind Clark for even a moment if he wants to try and get by McKenzie by the end of this race. Here they go. Through turn 1. McKenzie on that outside line trying to find the grip, and he is finding it. Holding even with Clark as they come down to the oval exit. Zepka chooses to run behind McKenzie. McKenzie takes the inside line, and he is ahead of Spencer Clark for P2. But Clark stays ahead of Zepka. That is massive for both McKenzie and Clark. Clark is trying to just stay on this podium. He only has to hold on for 2 more laps. Acatella will collect the white flag next time by. Now he has the fastest car on track. Logan McKenzie, 1.8 seconds behind him with 1.5 laps to go. Intimidating, but at the same time comforting, because that's quite a nice cushion. And his former teammate is going to have a lot of work to do if he wants to take this victory out of Acatella's hands. White flag for the 55. McKenzie, Clark, Zepka, and 2 all run behind. And in all this time, Clark's been battling for the overall podium, but he is far and ahead of all of his Delta counterparts, and this will be an easy Delta win for him as long as he doesn't get collected into some kind of incident here. Last lap, Zepka's going to try and get on this podium. Clark decides, I'm going to defend the outside here. He holds it fairly well, gets into that ditch though, so now Zepka cuts in front of him. He's right on his bumper. He goes to the right side here. Zepka didn't do a great job of holding on to the position when he attacked McKenzie like this. And look at this. Clark goes around the outside of him, back onto the podium. 2's right there. This could all kick off as they come out of the road course. I think Clark may hold it, though. Connor Acatella still has a 1 second gap over McKenzie. Comes out of the final corner, and yes, it's victory for Acatella, victory for Double Yellow. It's his 2nd career win, and it comes at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Logan McKenzie places P2. Spencer Clark holds on to that podium and becomes only the 2nd Delta driver in series history to finish on the podium, and right behind the only other driver who has ever done it, Connor Acatella, who won the race. Brian Saab comes home P3 on the Delta podium, because Evan Clavijo got by him maybe on the last lap. So P2 for Clavijo and P3 for Saab. An exciting, exhilarating race from New Hampshire. A lot to talk about. I think we can say for both McKenzie and Saab, the championships are looking pretty sewn up. McKenzie's may be well and truly locked. For Jacob Wiley, I think all he has to do is show up to Portimao, and he will be in a good position to secure his first Delta title. For McKenzie, it would be his 6th title, but We will confirm everything at Portimao. A great race from Clark. A great race from Acatella, McKinsey, Zepka. The four of them showed some absolute class there at the end of this race, and that was some amazing fighting. We will be back shortly with your final finishing order and updated point standings as Connor Acatella does his victory lap. He's got a cone under there.